The story originates from the demonstration of several girls who are actively discussing a certain young gentleman who is currently training at the training ground with a group of knights. Next, we are shown the inner monologue of the main character named Ern, who says that he will never miss his chance again. The main character's reasoning is transferred to the past, which is also the future. The 33-year-old protagonist is tortured and at the same time treated with potions so that he does not die prematurely. All this happens under his reflections that in his life he has not really achieved anything, unlike his great father and grandfather, who stood at the top of this world. He himself, in turn, was only a pathetic duke, who also managed to exchange absolutely everything he had. However, he did not exchange it for simple merchants, but for a certain book of measurements, from which the bookmark of desires falls out, which, judging by its name, can fulfill any desires. And at the moment when the life in it has already begun to fade completely, the bookmark began to emit a mysterious glow, and performs the last one that married its owner, namely, to transfer him to the past, thereby giving a chance to correct all his mistakes that he had made earlier. The next moment we see Ern approaching the gymnasium, where a large number of knights train. He denotes to himself that he devalued and ignored them. Finishing his thoughts, the captain of the guard calls out to him, reacting negatively to the lateness of the main character, indicating that training will be more difficult for his slowness. He points out a huge amount of exercises, surprised at the boy's easy consent, because earlier he would have tried to escape by skipping training. The hero himself reflects that there is no past of his. He will not repeat his mistakes again. He is full of motivation to change his future. Nothing has changed here. The only thing that's changed is me. Everything is in my hands. I will try my best to improve my skills. Next, we are shown how the captain looks at the practicing protagonist, surprised at his perseverance. Ern himself is proud of the hard work he has done, concentrating his thoughts on the future, developing a training plan. Being in his thoughts, he receives an unknown notification. Not knowing what it is, he is very surprised, managing to get scared. His condition is noticed by the captain of the guard, whom Ern asks if he sees a floating thing, which the man refutes without even understanding what he is talking about, pushing it all down to fatigue. Ern realizes that only he sees this sign, and at the same moment accepts the invitation to trade. He is surprised that an ordinary book has somehow become a deal with dimensions. Stuck in his thoughts, the hero is hailed by the captain of the Knight's Guard, worried about his condition. Ern himself calms the man, who is surprised by his abrupt change of character. Entering his house, he encounters the butler, who notices a strange flame in the eyes of the protagonist, which Ern is surprised at and simply dissuades, referring to the manifestation of mana. After entering his room, he receives a notification. Without the option of cancellation, agreeing, he logs into the account, starting everything from the zero process. Considering some of the properties of the account, he is surprised by the coins, thinking about the reason for their appearance. The next moment, we are moved forward a week. At the moment, Ern is going to fight with one of the knights. The captain sets certain limits, which the hero discards, telling the man to fight him with all his might. All the knights are surprised by the skills of their young master. Using all his strength, Ern defeats his opponent. Despite the use of magic, he still lost. Everyone is surprised at this. It takes us back a week. The protagonist is trying to figure out how to use the spatial book more profitably. After analyzing everything, the most important thing he found was currency exchange. After weighing a certain amount of real gold, he was able to get a certain amount of coins, being surprised at a slightly higher rate compared to his previous life. Having come up with the perfect plan, Ern is going to make money by selling goods at exorbitant prices. Studying all the nuances of the sale, he finds a seller of mana crystals that he will need during his training. Talking to the seller, he finds out that he doubled the usual price by manipulating him. The hero buys mana crystals, again surprised. After completing the transaction, he receives a cashback notification. He pays attention to the fact that this is a VIP privilege, but quickly forgets about it, focusing all his attention on mana crystals. The following tells about the hard training of the breathing method, which he inherited from his grandfather. But still he could, which he is very proud of. Now we return to the present time, when Ern defeated the knight. No one believes in his victory, as a result of which he calls another knight to sparring. At this moment his older sister comes to the training ground, who also witnesses the battle. Ern wins, for which his sister says she underestimated him. The sister apologizes to him, actually worried about her brother, also assuming that it took him a lot of effort to get ahead. The protagonist says that it turns out that all the efforts made in all the sparring were in order to get her approval. We are transported to the evening, during a family dinner, introducing us to all the relatives. Erna is recognized by his father, having conducted a small test by checking mana. Seeing what his son has achieved, he offers him a reward. The hero asks to take only one thing from the storage. Ern was going to pick up the spatial book, but not finding it, he chose a golden statuette. The father is surprised by Ern's choice. In response to this, the hero refers to the necessary financial support, saying that this will help save him time. Later, the protagonist identifies two options for the loss of the book. The first was that the book itself moved, and the other is that someone is already using the book. Both of these options can be effective, but the main character does not bother much about this, rejoicing that at least he managed to capture the golden statue. Next, Ern explains that he is still a VIP. Not believing this, he presses a button for curiosity, after which a lot of characteristics appear, thanks to which he received all the various discounts or advantages in trading. He is very happy with the current situation, because then survival will be much easier. The next moment, the hero weighs the golden statuette, taking advantage of the privileges, realizing that the book he was looking for is in his eye, but again does not worry much about it, thinking about the next sales. Just at this moment, he gets a mana crystal seller. On the other side of the book sat a rather solid man several times older than Ern. He was very angry when he saw that he was called a fraudster and wondered who dared to address him like that. Perhaps it was just calculated. Ern will turn to this person so that he will answer him exactly. But then a man named Heartstone realized what was the matter. It was his very buyer. Ern turned to him again in order to buy mana stones and preferably at the same price as last time. But he replied that it was a special concession and this is not expected anymore. Ern was very smart and experienced in trading, so he kept the previous dialogue as proof and Heartstone had no way to get out of selling the goods at the previous price. Naturally, in such cases, every seller would get angry and this one is no exception. Having thought about the fact that he can only be temporarily blocked from complaining. But if we talk about losses over these few days, it will probably be easier to sell him cheaper. Ern at this time was thinking about how it is possible to be so petty, having almost 10,000 coins on the balance. Immediately comes the question of how many stones would like to purchase. Since Ern was buying them, especially if it was a very favorable price, he asked to sell him everything that was available. That is, 25 pieces of medium and 20 pieces of small. As a result, the cashback from the transaction was 40.5 coins, and 270 coins were spent in total. It turns out that he bought medium stones for 10 coins and small ones for 2.5 apiece. He will sell them for 12 medium coins and 3 for small ones. It turned out to be quite a bargain. This is the most basic scheme of all. You buy cheap and sell more expensive. At the same time, a mess was going on in Heartstone's room. A hookah was lying on the floor and it was unknown what he was doing there. Here we can observe how Heartstone was seized with anger. He saw Ern's ad, with the same product that he had just sold to him, with several times more expensive. He was outraged that this kid was unscrupulous. He could at least put an ad in another channel, for the sake of respect. Ern slept peacefully, suspecting nothing, but of course he woke up from so many messages. In 3 years of doing deals, he has learned how to behave with such personalities who raise their voices. Ern insulted Heartstone so skillfully that one could only envy this skill. After long and loud conversations, they did not come to anything in common and just closed the deal completely. Ern did not lose the opportunity and asked if he wanted to make a deal again. Heartstone refused at all. Under no circumstances would he sell the goods to such a vile person anymore. Although for guys like Heartstone, money is both religion and faith. Ern is an excellent judge of people, and he knew what to put pressure on to persuade him to sell him stones. Simply put, in this situation, a person will simply do everything for his own benefit. So Ern put pressure on this. Will emotions really be able to prevent receiving money? Heartstone recognized Ern's rightness and immediately asked what the market price was. It was the same price at which Ern himself actually sells. The guy wanted to buy 50 medium and 19 small stones. But there were not so many goods and he had to buy several times less. In any case, it's good for him because he can sell them even cheaper. Ern immediately put up an ad and Heartstone was impressed by such impudence and in general. What's the point? If you sell so cheap, you can go bankrupt soon. But for VIP persons, everything is completely changing. They don't have a commission. Therefore, even if you reduce the price by another 25%, it will still be in the black. There is also a very high demand for mana stones and a free restriction on sale. Ern didn't want to waste a minute and said he didn't want to continue this pointless argument. It was better to start earning money. While he had the stones with him, Ern decided to take full advantage of this, for example, to recharge himself from them as well as to take care of his body. Because before you go there, you need to remove all your shortcomings and stagnations in order to simply survive. In general, the time has already come for calculations. That is, the price reduction for medium stones to 9.5 coins. This is a very effective way, and the transactions were completed one after another. Although in a previous life, when Ern was in the county, he devoted his first year there entirely and did not want to repeat the same mistakes in this life. His progress was visible on his face. After 8 days, he began to make transactions through changes. Although owning a still guard, it took a whole year. Now he has fulfilled his goal for deals and got the first level. Having successfully moved to system number 1, even more exciting challenges awaited him. Ern had a privilege called Mir, which meant that he switched to the system number 1. The speed of mastering new skills will be increased. After that, he decided to test his strengths together with his other ability called the Eye of Insight. It gave him the opportunity to view information about those people with whom he trades, as well as the report of the exchange center. But for some reason, this opportunity did not work for him. There were a lot of questions to the staff from the center. Apparently, all these privileges begin to activate with the increase in the level. A bunch of windows are displayed in front of Ern, in which stocks are indicated. There are so many of them that it cannot seem suspicious. Discounts depend on the market price, as well as the absence of commission due to its privileges. And you also need to make a payment for participation in the event. Suddenly, congratulations on the transition to a new level are displayed on the screen. It was sent something like customer care, and they also provided some kind of shower thing as a reward. An item in the form of a drop, martial arts and 500 coins. The guy was most interested in a gift in the form of martial arts, maximum body and sword stealth. This ability was absorbed into him barely he had time to touch, which means that now the speed of his perception has increased several times. But there is one caveat. This ability uses mana as fuel, and in the previous system in which it used internal energy. Although the new privilege is compatible with the mana core and you still need to expand your horizons and try something new. He realized that this way the skill becomes much more refined and he can master several new techniques in just a few minutes. It's amazing. He also wondered about the new system. Is there any limit in spatial trading? Ern can buy anything he wants, even abstract values, so coins need to be used very carefully and rationally. It was time to make the first trial purchase in this system. Ern found a spatial exchange merchant. He needed martial arts scrolls. The seller was quite strange, too polite, and was very hypocritical. In general, they had a bad opinion of each other, but everyone was only interested in the benefits. Ern was interested in sword techniques. The seller had even more than necessary. For example, triple sword techniques. Ern was quite satisfied with the variations of goods in this store and he wanted to buy. The merchant's task was to sell random cheap scrolls at an inflated price. I told Ern that this scroll chooses people of System 0 who dream of martial arts of System 1. In general, those who were a real weakling in a previous life. This is all done so that a person can feel powerful at least for a while. In general, all this exactly suited Ern. The kid realized, it's just marketing tricks and he fell for it. How could you do such a stupid thing? He acquired the simplest technique, consisting of 3 movements, knowing perfectly well that this is a weak skill. The trader offers a lot of additional techniques in order to profit. And of course, the crown offer for 20 coins, advice on which martial art is best to take. Ern agrees, although a couple of hours ago he promised himself to take care of the coins like the apple of his eye. Next, we can observe the 5th world of Mirim, the mountain bamboo sect. There was clearly some kind of alarming situation. Everyone was calling the leader Juseng Ha. As it turned out, a certain bastard Kochkol Li was found, and Ern found him. The leader, of course, first of all asked what kind of source. How did they find this bastard? His assistant manager started asking Ern, but as we can already understand, this is quite an unusual character, and he said that he could not answer all the questions at once yet. At first, he made a condition that if he took care of their enemy Kochkol Li, he would absolutely receive some kind of reward. The leader said that he did not believe the usual words and that suddenly he would cheat. Ern was very calm. If they don't believe him, then in general it doesn't matter, then he will release Kochkol Li. The leader reacted to such words even more emotionally than the vulgar time and was already bursting with anger. Ern asked to take a look at his information so that the leader would make sure that he was not a fraud. He saw there that the guy is from the lower system and is aware of all the secret techniques. It is likely that Kochkol Li told him about them. In fact, it became clear that he also trades. For the help, the leader decided to allocate Ern 200 coins. He even spat out his drink in surprise. It was quite a lot for him because he just wanted to recapture what he had lost from that rogue trader. However, if he catches Kochkol Li, he will get much more, but on the other hand, he can also let him go. In any case, Ern wanted to go to this level, primarily because of Xiao Kaiyan. He is a first-class seller of martial arts scrolls. He was looking for him only to take revenge. Because this is a complete humiliation and disrespect, you have to pay for this, perhaps even with your worthless life. He accepted the request for correspondence, and when Ern said that he was from Mu Hyukja, Xiao Kaiyan immediately became more open towards him because he understood that this person already knows enough about him based on logic. Ern told about a certain fraudster on the market who resold stolen information from the library at a high price to those who had only recently arrived from the system. Xiao Kaiyan was very surprised. What kind of dumbass will fall for this deception? Ern felt uneasy. He still fell for this bait. Then the guy clarified if he really didn't need to worry now that someone would cheat him. The merchant of course reacted badly and told him not to dare compare him with that deceiver. Ern apologized and asked to show the sword techniques that are in the assortment. Immediately the seller advised him the technique of plum blossom. It is quite powerful, as well as the higher the skill, the deeper the smell. The market price was 50 coins, but Seok Hyen decided to make a discount and give it for 35. It's still a new buyer. Ern immediately guessed that something was wrong here. He was 100% a fraud and also so arrogant. Overstates the price by 3 times. After the guy bought the material from him, the merchant immediately began to smile and flatter very playfully, as well as to extract personal information about where he earns so much. Ern proudly replied that he also earns money in this area and most likely now they will often overlap. Seok Hyen pretended to be pleasantly surprised. But deep down it wasn't like that at all. He just thought that Ern was a fool since he didn't even know what the market price of the product he had just bought. The seller did not even realize that the guy knows everything and just checks it. After returning, Ern was very angry and wanted to take revenge as soon as possible. At this inopportune moment Isil came. She was able to catch Ern's red eye. He of course pretended that everything was fine. Isel blushed with embarrassment at the sight of the young master. He instantly noticed it and was glad to assume that she saw a real man in him. But she just wanted to clarify what was there about the case with Kieran. It was Ern's brother. He was quite quiet and always trained away from others. Everyone thought that he was so stylish that he simply had no equal among other students. But his brother Ern, no one missed the opportunity to play a joke, and this time calling him a shy child, grabbed him hard enough for such words. Ern did not expect such a powerful force from his brother at all. Is a knight of the 5th class capable of such a thing? And here the aura comes into play. According to the rules it should only be for knights of the 2nd class, but somehow miraculously my brother also had it. He decided to take revenge in full. There was only one blow and that was the end of the fight. The older brother was amazed by Ern's strength, so it was from the internal storage. His blow was called the Destroying Stone. In fact, all this hostility was due to the fact that the elder brother did not have the opportunity to get there. How can this be? The father and younger brother were there, and he is the only one from the family who did not have the opportunity to visit there. At this point, Ern was clearly dumbfounded, since his blow was taken completely out of there and he was not there. But his brother had not yet admitted this. It was necessary to check everything, at least whether his existence was real. Isil asked the young gentleman if he was badly injured during a fight with his brother, suddenly needed her help. But when she saw Ern smiling and with a naked hummock, she realized that she was worried in vain. He was already quite an adult. Isil was ordered to go to rest, and the young master drank a restorative pill and began to think about how he could still get into the internal storage. In any case, it must be done before the academy begins. Meanwhile, his older brother and sister Darren were actively discussing Ern. He caused a huge shame towards his older brother. At first he looked weak, and then abruptly showed that he could fight back. But the older brother was scared that he did not even show his strength in full force. She and her sister decided by all means to get out of Ern all the information that he dares to hide. Darren said that she would closely deal with this case, and in parallel, other haters of the young count discussed how to take revenge on him. The alliance of mana merchants was very unhappy, because in just 2 days he took over the entire market with a lot of losses. We need to fight this urgently. They decided to develop some kind of plan to catch the opponent. So, there has already been a drop in prices for 1 coin on the market. All mana crystals have been affected. Everything was going according to Ern's plan. Prices fell even faster than he had imagined. Destructive competition began. Other merchants were angry and also lowered their prices in order to at least somehow make money. But for Ern, all this was not a problem, because thanks to his VIP privileges, he did not go into the negative and earn great money. He had 1,002 coins in his account and could afford to upgrade his inventory. But the young count had more important things to do than that. He really wanted to get into the system alone, for revenge on the bastard Sohan. When he came to the partner market in search of a medium-level sword technique, he met the librarian Ginseng, who gave him a couple of practical tips. Ern thought for a while and asked to be given something more powerful and expensive. For this he was offered the unique skill of the Castle of 1,000 Swords. But how can this be? Because the Castle of the 5 Swords is a sect that has a huge influence. This skill is transmitted only there. In general, Ern had one important request to the assistant librarian. He wanted to find 2 books called The 8 Martial Arts of the Cloud Dragon and The Technique of the Green Cloud and the Scarlet Dawn. They got him right the next day. But the librarian used to have a whole team, so the books were delivered in the shortest possible time. Ern also wanted to buy something unusual for his rich teacher Hafael, but since ordinary martial arts books no longer impress him, he wants to give something unusual. The librarian's assistant was interested in what is it. As it turned out, he wanted the completed unique skill of the Castle of 1,000 Swords. Oh, it was a difficult task, but for good money the assistant from the library agreed to do it. The main thing of course is not to catch the head librarian's eye. Ern secretly asked the chief what would happen if this book got out of the library, and the answer was unequivocal: death. The next morning, Ern woke up with the realization that he owed 1,000 coins to Sohan. Well, in 5 days from his daily reward, this amount will just turn out. Meanwhile, from idleness, he decided to go for a walk, as well as check the prices of crystals on the market. As it turned out, those that were of average quality fell even more in price, and Ern decided to buy from one merchant in bulk. He aggressively sent him very far away. He decided to try to ask for another one and stepped on the same rake. And all because all these people were from the same alliance, who were against Ern and considered him their sworn enemy. The young count decided to take a little walk and think over his next actions. And then, walking along the path, he notices 2 girls standing behind a tree. It was Isel and Darren. Apparently she wanted to get information about Ern from her. She did it very cruelly, was rude and beat the maid. It was not for nothing that all the servants were afraid of Darren. There is also another sister named Karen, but everyone loved and respected her very much. In general, these sisters are complete opposites to each other. Poor Isel explained that she knew absolutely nothing. Her duty was only to take care of the young count. By the way, he intervenes in their fight at the same moment and asks his sister to immediately move away from his maid. Darren apparently doesn't take anyone seriously and tells his younger brother not to interfere. This rude sister told him that she was just teaching Isel how to do her job properly and he should be grateful to her. Then she swung at the maid again, but this time Ern stopped her hand and threw it against the tree with all his strength. "How dare he touch me?" shouted Darren. She immediately suspected that there was some kind of love relationship between them. To be honest, from the outside it really seems that there is a spark between them, but we can't know for sure, so we will see the development of their relationship in the future. Ern ordered an immediate apology to Isel. My sister was just shocked, and threatened to run to complain to his father about him. How will he react if I come to him like this and tell him that his youngest son beat me up? But Ren simply told her not to touch his people in the future, and if she suddenly tells her father everything, he will also be able to tell him about some of her secrets. As a result, Darren admitted her guilt and apologized. Isel was touched by the fact that the young count stood up for her and said that he would protect her even from the emperor himself, because he would never allow his people to be offended. So, Darren came to the leader of the alliance, which was assembled in order to remove Ern from the market. She said that somehow he found out everything. It was quite obvious to himself, because after everyone denied him mana crystals, he suspected something was wrong. But someone still sold them to him, perhaps someone who needed coins very urgently right now. It was necessary to do something immediately. There were 2 options to choose from. The first was to buy everything completely before others did it, and the second was to reduce the price of crystals even more. All members of the alliance immediately lowered the price, and because of this, strong quarrels began between buyers. Someone borrowed, and someone even sold the house to buy cheaper. Everything was going exactly as Ern had planned for himself. The leader was shocked by such a height. He shouted at his secret assistant, because on the contrary it would bring success to Ern, and they want to remove him. The anonymous assistant replied quite calmly that everything was going as it should, and if the alliance trusted him, they would benefit in the end. Now they have started trying to unravel Ern's mysterious plan and have come to the conclusion that if the alliance drops the price of crystals by 1 coin, then it is by 2. Now he has reached his maximum and cannot continue to throw off. According to all analytics, Ern has clearly gone into negative territory, but why would he do all this? To take over the entire market, his secret assistant answered the leader. But he will not be able to turn everything from one account. There is a sales limit. In this case, he can hire assistants and trade his coins through them. Or he wants to create his own alliance and become its head to control sellers and prices in the market. Isn't that why you became the boss in your alliance? The anonymous assistant asks. The leader did not hear anything, except that he was called the boss. Oh, this pride will not bring him to good. Ern was watching all this. As it turns out, he was the anonymous assistant and saw through the leader. He pulled off this adventure quite simply, with the help of the information asymmetry function. This is in his privileges. He knew about the alliance from the very beginning. Ern deliberately created competitors in order to make money on them as a result. There are only 2 types of people, those who want fast money and madmen who love risk and schemes. Hearthstone was inspired to stop Ern as soon as possible and was sure that he knew all his subsequent actions, as he considered them predictable and did not even realize that he was very close among them. Ern's first step was just to let Hearthstone think that he was the most important and that he would control the entire crystal market, and if some merchant interfered with them, they would immediately destroy him. all other participants, just watching the whole incredible battle of the Alliance and a run for leadership. They don't even know about anything. They plan to take all the crystals for themselves with the help of a third party. And this magnificent plan was invented by none other than me, Irun. Now he has come to deal with his older sister Darren. All this time she was sitting and thought about how this little brother found out about the company, even said the name Damien. He knocked on her door and decided that they should talk about it all. This company provides houses with everything you need inside. The problem was that the firm used investment money to demand the same relationship. These changes appeared when your sister joined there, so everything is too obvious. Darren began to get very nervous, because if all her dark deeds were revealed, she would be left with nothing. Ern is the youngest son and he understands that he will not get anything from the family. But how the older sister will continue to live is already a question. In short, Ern is just blackmailing her. Darren Na is so simple and has a strong temper, so she will not allow herself to be manipulated. Ern was only interested in one question. Did she bribe the firm first or did she ask for help? The sister replied that the firm had found her herself. Of course it was a pure lie. Such a large firm would not look for someone by itself. In general, closer to the point, Ern suggested that she work together, because they were in the same boat anyway, if you judge it that way. The young count did not have a strong desire to work together with his sister, so this arrangement is full of lies and doubts, but for now it will have to be done. All for the sake of coping with Heartstone. When Ern was walking from his sister, he received a message. You received 800 coins from the Bamboo Mountain sect, which meant that they had caught Hakal Lee. They also sent a pill of life as a gift, which is not a bad thing. While Ern was doing just fine, while he was cheating Heartstone, in parallel, they bought a bunch of coins from him. He was incredibly rich. That same night, an unexpected guest named Yulaf showed up at Damien's firm. Miss Darren and Sir Damien met him, although she was completely unaware of who it was. It was obvious from her appearance that she was suspicious of their late guest. Suddenly it was some kind of trap. But Ern convinced her that this seller could be trusted. Yulaf decided to get straight to the point and asked how much they were willing to pay for the crystals. He certainly showed them so that they would be convinced of the quality. Disguised Ern, that is, Yulaf was completely unlike himself. He achieved all this with the help of a mask made of human skin and a pill that changes the voice. Bidding began. Yulaf asked for 100 gold, but Damien said he would take it for 90 and other firms would not offer him more. At that moment, Yulaf got up and began to get dressed, and also handed Darren's coat. He said that he saw no point in haggling with those who didn't understand a damn thing about the product. His sister aptly supported his phrase. They had already started discussing another firm, when Damien jumped up from his chair and said that he agreed to 100, but Yulaf had already asked for 120 gold for each gem. Their negotiations went on for quite a long time, but Ern stood his ground and as a result they agreed even for 130 zloty. Damien has already put forward his other claims. At the expense of the number of crystals, there are few of them. At that moment, Yulaf threw a large bag of crystals on the table. There were 300 of them there. There were labor fees, storage, management, and everything else. Whatever it is, there will definitely be no losses. The boss's eyes lit up. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The price of mana crystals is based on their availability. Even if there is money, but they will not be available, then what is the point of money? That's it. The deal was very profitable in the eyes of the boss and he bought all these crystals. Now Damien decided to ask what kind of seller is sitting in front of him. After all, he knows the market well and, accordingly, the merchants too, but he has never seen you before. Yulaf immediately began to manipulate and ask if they didn't believe him. But the boss said that of course he had no suspicions, because Miss Darren had advised him. Yulaf said that he had no desire to get acquainted with anyone and hoped that his sister would somehow support him. But Darren was even more interested in her face. Then came a shocking moment. Half an hour passed and the pill for changing the voice stopped working. Yulaf abruptly swallowed the second pill and said that it was no longer worth paying attention. Thus, they left this office faster, since the boss did not want to detain anyone. Finally, she and Darren were left alone and she began to ask Yulaf how he knew her younger brother. She did not even realize that he was standing in front of her. She was interested in all this with the aim that if suddenly a quality product had just been sold, then she was able to deal with it, otherwise the company would blame her. And in general, this is an absurd behavior on the part of Yulaf, and in general is this a real name? She demanded that he tell her everything. Is this all a trap? Yulaf even laughed at such insight. Do you really think that I'm a criminal and all these crystals are stolen? It's impossible. Such a quantity can only be found in the royal vault. In truth, Darren thought so, because how can you get such an amount? But she just underestimated her brother's abilities. And then a funny enough scene happens. Yulaf puts his hand on her head and says that Ern once told him that relatives are worse than enemy. But as he grew up, he realized that the only people you can rely on are family. Darren was stunned both by the words and by such impudence that an unknown man put his hand on her head. Finally, he advised her to get along with her brother. She was in wild shock from all this. Ern spent the whole evening talking about what a good deal he managed to pull off. Even considering that 1% will belong to Darren, he still has a lot of money left. He was also shocked by the words he said to his sister about the family. But Darren will never know about his true intentions. How ironic it is. Ern does not intend to tolerate childish antics from his brothers and sisters, but he does not feel hatred for them either. Right now, he is completely focused on his goals, namely to finally take revenge on Sohan. The main currency on the Yin continent is gold coins, and in the Muram world, gold pieces. So, Ern had 2,752 coins on his account, which meant that the preparations were over. Suddenly, a message arrives from Sohan. Having satisfied his anger, Ern accepts it. He began to talk about how he had to work hard to get the secret art of the poisonous sect in the Heavenly Castle of Swords, but he still succeeded. Oh, how hard it was to copy a book in the library, Ern thinks to himself. He finally threw off the book. Unlike the heavenly cultivation technique that everyone in the Castle of Swords can master, only a select few can practice the chaos cultivation technique. According to the description, this book fully meets the requirements, so Half-Ale will definitely be satisfied. And then the most interesting thing begins: payment. Actually, now you can contemplate this vile nature, for which Sohan is so hated. For 25 O coins, he immediately refused to sell this book and said that in the store they cost about 5,000. The technique of deception is that Sohan makes buyers worry, and then the goods are sold at an inflated price. In his previous life, he did this to earn 100 times and now he wants to avenge it. While the buyer is thinking, Sohan promises to answer all the questions of interest and, if anything, help with all the difficulties in the future. However, this is called hanging noodles on his ears. Ern understands this and immediately gets down to business. What is the price after all? Somewhere 4,000 coins, for you a discount of 1,000 coins. But even so, Ern doesn't have enough for this book. Okay, it will be possible to borrow from someone for a few days. And the result is 38 O coins, because he gave 200 coins in advance, even when he made the order. Sohan said with a malicious smile that no, because he had already spent those 200 coins to get the equipment. Ern was at the peak of his anger. It turned out to be a rather difficult situation. What should I do now? Sohan does not understand why his buyer is so worried. Because he spends his client's money? Strange. Ern said he had to check with Half-Ale first to see if such a price would suit him. The young count is just in shock, because if he does not agree to this purchase, then Sohan himself will be the loser. Why is he so calm? Even after using all his privileges, he lacks 25 coins, and considering the commissions of exchange centers, it is better to throw everything on the floor than to change it there. But I had to do it, because, alas, there is no more time to wait, and do not forget about the limit. He lost quite a lot of coins, but Ern's philosophy is very impressive. He does not hold on to money and is confident in his abilities that he will be able to earn more, with dozens of times more. The dialogue with Sohan continues. Ern said that his client agrees and 42 O coins is a good deal. Sohan was very happy. It's a pity, of course, that he doesn't even suspect what awaits him next. The deal has begun. Finally, the prey took the bait. Ern is up to something brilliant. There's no doubt about it. But what exactly awaits Sohan? You will find out in my next videos. I would be grateful if you subscribe to the channel and support me with likes and comments.